Hello, here we go. It's the Copite Podcast.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the Copite Podcast to discuss tomorrow's small matter against West Ham at Anfield. I'm Mick and I'm joined by Kristian, as usual. Kristian, how are we doing?
Yeah, good. No, still feeling, really good since the win.
Still riding the wave.
Yeah. So, and also obviously looking forward to another game already tomorrow, because sometimes obviously we talk about, the team and players needs a bit of rest, but I don't mind when there's many games, in a short period of time, because you feel excitement all the time, and you're happy.
Especially when you're winning.
Hey,
especially when you're winning, because like if it's what was happening before, we were like we're drawing or losing, you're like, I can't be bothered with another game in 3 days. But when you've just beat City, then bring them on.
And I also think, with knowing that the World Cup is coming up in mid-November or whatever it is, or at the end of November, but the last game is against Southampton at home in the mid of November, and then it will be a long break of Premier League football. So it's just nice to have a few games to look forward to now before it's a long break.
Yeah, exactly. But Paul's in as ever. Afternoon all. I've stopped at a coffee shop, put my feet up to watch, and obviously doing book work. We're so privileged, Paul, that you want to listen to us just talk shit about the Reds while you're having a little coffee. But yeah, Klopp's press conference was like half an hour ago. We were going to do it at 1:30, but then I was like, it's just pointless because all the team news that we need to talk about is Klopp needs to tell us. So I just thought we'd push it back half an hour. But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, then we appreciate you watching or listening. But I just thought we'd get into it. Got a screenshot of the previous results, and this is I just thought I'd grab it from the last 10 years, because I thought I can't keep going back to 1892 or whatever. Just thought I'd get the recent history, and you can if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see this, but if you're listening on Spotify, whatever, you won't be able to, sorry, but we'll just be going through a couple of them. But as you can see there, the recent results, we beat them at Anfield last May. Sadio Mane got the winner in that one. And then the game before that was the away game where we got beat, which was a really fucking frustrating game. The one where Trent scored the belter free kick. And then it's pretty much we've been done well against West Ham. I think they always give us a good game, as you can see, 3-1, 2-1, 3-2. But if I do a bit of quick maths there, I think we've only lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the last 10 years, and one of them was an FA Cup game. So we've got a pretty good record, and I think we're going to get into Klopp's quotes in a minute. But like he said, they always give us a good game. They've got a good manager. They've got new players and stuff. But that's a pretty good looking. Loads of green W's, which you like to see on there.
Yeah, and a few games back, a few years back, are actually quite many goals from our end as well. So that's good, and it's always nice to see this kind of statistics. But like Klopp said, West Ham, especially last season, was really, really good, and it caused us problems. Obviously, we lost against them almost a year ago now. Well, next month it will be a year, but. Yeah, they seem like they always, could come up being a tough opponent. But as we can see here, we actually have won against them quite many times in the last 10 years. So, and now with the bit of, dipping form for them as well. Obviously, now we won against City and hopefully can get ourselves going from that one. But I think, playing at home, I would have been so much more concerned if it was actually West Ham away after a good win against it. I think this is the perfect timing for having 2 games in a row at Anfield to hopefully get another 3 points, because then we actually get some connection to the top 4, even though we're still behind, but we get connection in terms of points. So West Ham is West Ham, but it'll be a tough game, but I think we have a good chance, especially coming out from the City game with a win.
I think the fact that we beat City the way that we did is that'll give anyone a massive boost. But Aiden's in. Afternoon, guys. Nice one, Aiden, for jumping in the live chat. I'm always conscious as well, because when we do these lives, when I'm always conscious of people listening or watching hours later. We always we mostly do these live. So like if you're listening on like Spotify or whatever, or you're watching YouTube like later, we do tend to do them live, like but we tend to do them in the day, like midday or like today 2 p.m. So if you are watching or listening like at a later time and you wanted to jump in the comments, and you're always thinking who's all these people that they're mentioning in the comments here. It's YouTube and people and the legends that are in the chat. So that's the reason why I keep saying Paul says this, Aidan says this. I just always think about it when I'm listening back and just think people might not realize what's going on. I just thought I'd clarify that for everyone. But Paul says West Ham will be a good game. Will be a good game and a win. I hope too. Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult one because Aidan's just read my mind a little bit. Aidan says just listen to Jurgen, gutted for Jota, and looks a few injuries starting to pile up, but still got numbers and a strong squad. And I just thought we've just been talking about the Klopp press conference, which was just before, so we might as well talk about Jota. He obviously confirmed that he's going to miss the World Cup, a pretty serious calf muscle injury. He won't need surgery, but it's just absolutely devastating as well, isn't it? Like I think it was like the 6 minute of injury time, and he's just obviously extended his calf or whatever. But yeah, an absolute devastating blow, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's always sad with injuries like that. But if someone is out for a longer period of time, but it's also feels so unnecessary when it was at that point in the game. It's always unnecessary, but just in the end of the game, and we just wanted to see it out, and then that happened. And I feel for him because he came back from another injury not long ago, and he's been really good for Portugal when he played for them. Going to the World Cup is obviously a big dream for all football players that are pros. So it's just sad because he's a player that gives obviously Portugal a lot of options, but he's a good player for us. We sometimes forget mentioning him about scoring goals. We always talk about Salas and Mane when he was with us, but Jota actually pops up and score goals and important goals as well. And now, recently he just gave 3 assists to Salah against Rangers. So he's a player that can play in loads of different positions. He's really technical and, got pace and all that. So he will be really missed, especially now when we have Luis Diaz out as well. So it's 2 players that can play on the left side that is actually out, and they're really important to us. So it will be a bit of a struggle for us and for Jurgen Klopp to actually find out how we're going to play or how we're going to set up the team going forward in October before the World Cup.
Yeah, and I think you just got to be like on the positive side. Give minutes to Carvalho, who whenever he's come on, he's looked good. Curtis Jones is back. I think Klopp said he missed training yesterday, but it looks like he's took a small step forwards to being back. So it might give him an opportunity in the 4-4-2 or whatever formation it is we play these days. It's not quite a 4-3-3 as such anymore, is it? But before we get into other stuff, I just thought Klopp, like, he went through all of the injuries. So Jota joins Oxlade-Chamberlain, Keita, Matip, Kanate, and Melo. So on Oxlade-Chamberlain, he said he's getting closer. He's in full team training yesterday, but it's just trying to get him back up to speed. Obviously, match fitness and stuff, which he hasn't played for ages. On Navigator, He said he's in part of training. Might be back soon. Kanate, he said hopefully this weekend. He said 10 days.
10 days.
10 days, and that was obviously from the Rangers game. So this weekend could be a shout for Kanate, which is good. Matip still a little bit away, and yeah, I think that was it. But it's just nice, like Aidan says before, like we have got players available. It's just frustrating because, like we said with Jota, he's such a creative influence in scoring goals and whatever. But it was the physical stuff he was doing in the City game where he was providing that layer of protection for Robertson and just doubling up, like we said, Milner and Elliott and Robbo and Jota were in that 4-4-2, like more rigid 4-4-2 in a defensive formation, looked really good. So it's just we're just constantly having to like change the setup, which obviously doesn't help when a team's struggling. The continuity, it just doesn't help us when we're trying to get into a rhythm as well, does it?
No, when it's just, it's frustrating when you see Luis Diaz going out injured and you think, well, Jota is back now from his injury, and you think that we could have a great option to, fill in that position. We have Carvalho behind him to play in that position as well. And then this happens with Jota and you feel like, oh, come on, because we always have people coming back, and they might be 10 days or whatever it is, away from training with this with the squad and the team, and then someone else get injured. It just feels like we just need a break where we don't have injuries. And I'm always just concerned now. Obviously, Thiago has been playing, and he played really physically against.
Don't say that.
Against Man City, and I thought there was some situation where I just waiting for his hamstring to go, because we know that he's injury prone, and that is really, really, bad if that happens for us, obviously. But I just don't want any more players to be injured. I just want them to be fit. Like you said, you mentioned Ox. He hasn't played for ages, and I know that he's not a top-ranked Liverpool player anymore amongst fans and stuff. But, just for Jurgen Klopp to have, legs back and options back to actually rotate, say for when we play Derby in the Cup, just to get some other players to play, so they're players who play very many Premier League games and Champions League games in October before the World Cup actually can have a break sometimes, because that is what can actually cause, long-term injuries, that even if they are pros and in training every day, playing games, some have just bodies that won't cope with it, even if they get massage or go into an ice bath or whatever it is. Some players just get injured easily. We've obviously seen it with our players. We've seen it in other teams as well. So I just want, Klopp to have players back that can fit into positions and play in cups and just rotate more. But we have the depth, but it's still frustrating when players like Jota is just out like that. So hopefully the others are not too far away now.
Yeah, it's the old injury prone players that we've got, and there's quite a few of them, to be fair, which isn't, like you said, with the Thiago thing. Every time he goes into a tackle, you're like, oh fucking hell! But that's his game, and that you can't take that away from him, because he is good at that side of it. Like that was one of the things that surprised me when he came in, how good he is at in the air getting thrown tackles in. I just thought he was like a midfield metronome, just passing the ball, but he actually gets stuck in, which is what you want to see. Paul says there seems to be a few players from all teams at the moment getting injured before the World Cup and missing out. And then he says, I guess Trent will start tomorrow, as he was on the bench, and Nunes for Jota. Yeah, we might as well just start to discuss this a little bit then, in terms of who's going to start the game. Just to get quick, Gary's in as well. Nice one, Gary says, tally ho Reds. Nice one, Gary, for jumping in. So Klopp said that everyone apart from Jota has came through the City game, so Trent is fit, which is good. It was nice to see him on the bench. Milner started and done really well alongside Elliott. But yeah, what are you thinking then, Kristian? Do you think it'll be as simple as Paul says, like Trent in for Milner and Nunes in for Jota? Do you think that'll happen?
It could be, but the way we play now with formation, we really don't know. People have said on Twitter and in different forums, and we just discussed it before we started, that Trent could actually play as a right wing and Milner could start as a right back again, just because he played that well. And obviously Trent further up the pitch with his right foot, could be a threat as well. It's difficult to say, but if he come down to play right back, I won't complain. We know what he can offer. So it's a tough one. But in terms of Jota's being out and Nunez, he can play to the left. He did in Benfica. I think he did that against us as well when we played them. And he can drift out to that position. It doesn't mean he have to be on the left wing, but he can drift out and actually be a threat. And we saw him doing runs against Man City and cause them problems in the short period that he was in on the pitch. So if you need someone to just play in a position and he's quite experienced doing it before, why not? Because with a little bit of more decision making in a better way against Man City, he would have had like 1 or 2 assists. So he could do that job for us. And against West Ham, maybe it's good to have offensive technical players that can do that job, and we can swap around if we need to as well. But it's a tough one now, because it's Milner doing a good job. So I don't know, what do you think? I'm kind of just feeling like we could with formations and how we will play, we've changed it so much now and done different things, so it's kind of
It's hard it is hard to predict, because Yeah, I don't know. Honestly
we've been
don't
so
know.
used to Klopp playing 4-3-3 for so long, so it's just now
Yeah,
it's just, we don't know.
it's so weird. Like, so Gary says Nunes in a 9 for me. Go for a front four of Elliott, Firmino, and Nunes and Salah. So, like Aiden says, 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-2. Aiden says, team wise. So, Ali, Trent, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, Elliott, Henderson, Thiago, Carvalho, Salah, Nunes. Yeah, I think that's most likely. I'd be surprised if he, as good as Milner did in the game, and I know people were absolutely not very happy with the Milner starting that game and Trent not playing, but Trent was obviously just came back from injury, so I think that looks good to me. I think the only question is, I think the questions are, does Trent go right mid? Because I think there's a lot of people saying that, but then I think then Elliott then misses out if you're playing a 4-4-2. You'd either go Henderson or Fabinho, which is another question. And then if you're going 4-4-2, it's either Nunes or Firmino, isn't it? So you'd either keep a Nunes on the bench, again, as like an impact sub to bring him on for Firmino later in the game, or you just go with what Aiden's gone there and kind of go for it. And I think the Henderson thing, obviously, we're at home and against all respect to West Ham, a lesser team. They're not the same as, they're not in the same ballpark as Man City. So I think that looks like a good team to me. What do you reckon?
Yeah, and I think Elliott deserves to play because he was great against Man
Definitely.
City, and he's been one of our best players this season since the start.
So good.
So I think to take him out now when he's in a good run and full of self-confidence would be not a good idea. So I want Elliott to play, so he could play it to the right as well. We'll see, but I don't really like the 4-4-2. It looks dull when you're looking at it. It's just like boring. But obviously it's not actually 4-4-2 when we play. It's just the kind of basic of the system. How we defend or going forward. It won't be like 4-4-2 like strictly that formation. But I'm quite happy with that team. But I'm also really looking forward to, maybe I liked what I saw when Nunez came on against City, and obviously we talked about it after that game that he's raw, but I just want him to play, to continue, have an impact and keep on going, scoring goals for us, because that's what you're looking for in that kind of young, exciting striker. So with all the respect to Firmino and his, form, and obviously we will always love him and we want him to do well. I'm just very excited to see Nunez just keep on playing. That's just my own opinion, really.
Yeah, and just on that, Klopp did answer a question on Nunes, and he said it's very difficult to adapt to the Premier League. It's the hardest league in the world. People forget he's still very young. We didn't start particularly well, which doesn't help him, but he's incredibly strong and wants to score more goals. And then he kind of stopped for a minute and then said, and assist more goals as well. So I don't know if that was like the Salah moment that kind of popped back into his head, and they've had a discussion about that maybe.
And also maybe to take, he said, score more goals, and then obviously take a little bit of pressure off him again and say assist, because obviously when he says that as a manager, then it kind of just comes out there. Yeah, he wants to score more goals, and that's what we actually want him to do as well. But then he rather you say score goals and actually assist as well, to just be involved in the game and create chances for others too. So.
Because I think for I know his in previous years for Benfica, he had a very good season, being like an assist king. He got quite a few assists, unless I'm completely wrong there. But as far as I know, that's right. But Gary says Gomez must start. Yeah, definitely. We had a whole little segment on Joe Gomez yesterday. I was going to say the other day, but it feels like that podcast yesterday, the City one, feels like longer ago. It was yesterday, wasn't it? It was yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was. Yeah. 2 p.m. pods in a row. We're getting better, lads. We're getting better.
Yeah.
Aiden says Milner against Forest on Saturday at right back. Yeah, I mean, Klopp got asked about that as well. We need to. It's not good, getting injuries, and then we've also got loads of games coming thick and fast. We've got West Ham tomorrow, and then we've got Forest on Saturday morning, 12:30 kickoff away. So we're going to need to, and he's been very good at mix and matching the teams up, but that's obviously when we've had a plethora of options. We've got quite a few less than that, but hopefully Konate is back for the the Forest game as well, because then that maybe gives us another option at centre back, and maybe gives Trent room to maybe come in out the team as and when, and maybe give Gomez more minutes as well. And like Gary says, Bajcetic could start on the bench. Yeah, I mean, I'm very excited to see what Bajcetic is going to do in the future, because he looks like, from the little bit we've seen, I think he looks very good. But yeah, so like you said, it's not going to be like a rigid 4-4-2. So like Aiden said, it looks like a good team on paper, but like in terms of like an attack and transition, it'll be Henderson and Thiago as a 2, and then a front 4 of Elliot, Carvalho, Salah, and Nunes, won't it? Or Firmino in for Carvalho and have Nunes on the left. So there's definitely loads of quality there. So it's just about making it into a team.
Yeah, and if we want to have Nunes on the bench to be the impact player, like you said, if we need to make a substitution, then obviously Carvalho could play to the left because he used to that, and then we have Firmino just behind Salah if he starts actually up front, and we have Elliot to the right. So we could do that as well, because obviously with Salah's now it seems like he's getting into the form. He scored goals. He was great against City. So we could actually play him up front and start with Elliot to the right and Carvalho to the left. Maybe, both are young, and West Ham is going to be tough. But like we said, then Nunes can come in and Salah could go to the right, and we can swap around a little bit. So yeah, I like that kind of feeling with 4-2-3-1, because it give us the offensive 4, which I like to say, and I kind of like that we have very good offensive players, and can actually play around a bit to adapt to the game the West Ham plays as well.
I think it was quite, for me, it was quite big that he didn't put Salah as a right winger in the City game, and he put Elliot there, and Elliot did really well along with Milner, and Salah was kind of had the license to stay up front and make those runs in behind, which we saw. He could have had on another day. He could have had a hat-trick. If that first one goes in, he gets the second one, the amazing turn and finish, and then if Nunes plays him in, he gets a hat-trick. So he's always a threat. So having him close to the goal, I think it's the most basic like footy tactics ever. But just get your good goal scorer near the pit, like the goal. Like it's as simple as that. Hopefully, and hopefully that continues tomorrow. But Doug's in. Afternoon, gents. Absolutely gutted for Jota. I know it's absolutely heartbreaking for him, but hopefully he'll be back. I think Klopp said months. He didn't give a time scale, so it's after the World Cup. Hopefully, I don't know, but he never does. He never puts time scales on stuff anymore. He used to, but he doesn't do it anymore because I don't think it's good anyway. Because with people like he says, "Oh yeah, he'll be back end of February or whatever," and he's not back till like March. People are just saying, "Oh, fucking hell, what are you telling us lies for?" But Aiden says, hopefully Konate back for Forest, and then maybe Gomez right back. Yeah, I think it's just giving people different options, and that's what we need at the minute. But just like another thing that Klopp obviously got the red card against Man City, which was well deserved, but I thought he needed to do that because they were just taking the piss. So he got asked about the touchline ban, and he said he kind of just looked over to the press officer, I think, and was just like, I think I'll be there. Nothing's really happened yet, unless they do something today. But I think David Moyes was like, sort of a few quotes from Moyes saying like he hopes Klopp's there because it's better to have 2 managers there rather than just the one. I think Moyes also said something like, I saw a quote from Paul Gore saying Moyes said he was obviously frustrated in the moment, and and quite rightly so, because the decision that they should have got was a foul, and I was just thinking, oh, David Moyes talking sense. That's not
Yeah, I saw that as well. He said, that he was obviously wrong to be that up in the face of the assistant referee, but he was right with actually having, emotional and angry feelings about not a decision being made and not a free kick, because it was, and I think most people actually, obviously, when you're looking at it, with a logical view, I would say it's a free kick, without any hesitation. But it is what it is, on Twitter and other platforms, people just like to wind up as well. So it's what it is.
Always the way. Yeah. Always the way. But Gary's put his team prediction in, so he's gone for Ali Becher, Gomez, Van Dijk, Phillips, Robertson.
Oh.
So yeah, I mean, that was an option for the City game, I suppose, and I suppose against the, you know what, it might be an outside shout that because West Ham big fellas up front. Phillips will do very well against them. Obviously not against the pace of Antonio because he just have him on toast, but in terms of like defending set pieces and stuff, it would be good. Then he's going for Thiago and Fabinho as a 2, and then Elliott, Firmino, Nunes, and Salah. So yeah, I think everyone's predictions are pretty similar there. But just thought I've got a screenshot from actually Doug's just put his 11 in. Let's have a look at this one as well. So Alisson, Trent, Gomez, Van Dijk, Robertson, Fabinho and Thiago, Carvalho, Firmino, Elliott, and Salah. So Nunes on the bench, Elliott on the right, Carvalho on the left, Salah and Firmino as strikers. Yeah, I think all these sound very plausible and probably quite likely in majority. But just thought we'd talk about West Ham a little bit because I've got just a quick screenshot of the last 5 results or last 6 results, I think it is actually. So as you can see there, like a bit like our season, like not great. Drew last game against Southampton 1-1. They beat Fulham 3-1. Obviously, we struggled against the opening game of the season. They've also beat Wolves 2-0. They lost 1-0 to Everton. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. They lost 2-1 to Chelsea, and they drew with, is that Spurs? The ticker's getting in the way. Yeah, they drew with Spurs. No, I love everyone can't see this apart from me, but Kristian has just leaned forward to try and see over the ticker. That's just happened, everyone. Everyone couldn't see that apart from me, but I'm telling you. And he's laughing because he knows it's true.
Yeah, but it's also
he's trying to look over the ticker as though you could see over it.
No, yeah, but it's also because to be honest, the screen is very small because I got it on my laptop, so I don't actually I see it, but to actually read the teams, So yeah, it's fair shout from you, but I still need to do that just to see, all the everything because I don't have it on a big screen like I do here when I work, so I have it on my laptop, so I won't be sitting like this all the time when we talk, So yeah.
That killed me off. That was hilarious. Here's what he did. He did this. Class. Yeah. Love that. But yeah, just on that then, like they're obviously not in great form, but they're always tricky, aren't they? Like Klopp said, they always give us a good game, and especially when we haven't been in majority great this season. But like we said, I think the platform we built against City, if we can beat City that way, we can beat anyone that way. I think that's the way we need to look at it. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
Exactly. The difference between City and West Ham, I think, and a lot of teams, difference with Man City is that a team like West Ham would come and be more like physical, like they would play with more muscles. I would say, you can obviously argue about Haaland being, a big giant scoring loads of goals and stuff, but in terms of just a collective way of playing, West Ham feels like they are more, they are more bodies, and they got pace as well, but it's more muscles in the team. So I think but we are more skillful as well, like in overall on the pitch. So I think, like you said, we just need to build on what we did and the performance from City and actually go in with that kind of mentality. But then we have to play our game our way, be quick on the ball, a lot of pace and technical skills. Then I think we have a really great chance to win with like 2-3-0, to be honest. But we can't give in to their physicality because that will be a problem, obviously. So, when we talked about maybe Nat Phillips playing as well, but I think, Gomez and Van Dijk and centre backs, building from how they played against City is probably the best option, in my opinion. Because they show that they can, with the pace of Gomez as well and the physicality from them, playing against like the likes of Antonio and stuff. So I think with them too, it would be quite safe. And then, obviously, if it's Henderson, Thiago, or if it's Fabinho, Thiago, everyone did great against City. So I think, if we can just play our game, we'd be fine.
Yeah, and just dead quick, like we're talking about, like who we'll be up against as like a striker. So they started in the last game against Southampton. They started Schumacher as the striker. They brought on Antonio with 3 minutes to go. So I'd be very surprised if they don't start Antonio in this one because he's always a threat. And I think against teams that have a high line, or a higher line than most Premier League teams. I think he tends to do better, so I'd be surprised if he doesn't start. But their starting 11 for the Southampton game very quick was Fabianski in goal. They had a back three of Johnson, Kehrer and Cresswell. Midfield four of Emerson, Rice, Souček and Kufal. Obviously Emerson and Kufal like wing backs, full backs, wing backs. And then front three of Paqueta, Scamacca and Bowen. So yeah, Paqueta skillful, Scamacca a big fella, and Bowen we know pace and trickery. So
good.
it's a good front three, to be fair, and it'll probably be Antonio into the Scamacca. So even more pace and power that we need to contend with. It's going to be a tricky one. But there's a few comments coming in. Kuda, afternoon lads, nice one, Kuda, for jumping in. And he says, I need to call him Kuda Jones then. That's his nickname. That's his nickname. He's taking your name, Kuda.
He just did that, everyone.
Yeah, Kuda Jones. Curtis Jones run out. Yeah, I mentioned Curtis Jones before, just a little bit, like in terms of like left side of as a 4-4-2. I think he could do well on the left side role. I think he's got the workhorse attributes. I think he gets stuck in, but it's just Klopp said he didn't train yesterday, and I don't know if he's fully there. I think he said something along the lines of he was on the bench, but we knew we weren't going to use him. It was just because we had space, and Jones was in training. So I don't think it. I think it might be a bit too soon for Curtis Jones, but I'll be happily very surprised if not, if he gets a few minutes or whatever. That'll be good, wouldn't it? Because like we said, it's more bodies, isn't it?
Yeah, and we all just waited for Curtis Jones to. Now he's been injured quite a lot and quite a long period of time, and he's been injured in the past as well. But ever since he came into the first team from being a big talent from when Gerrard had him in his under 18s or whatever it was, everyone was talking about him, and we've seen him, score nice goals. He's got the qualities. It's just we just waited for him to take the next step. I think still he needs to. We still have time. We need to be a little bit more patient. Obviously, with bad injuries, it's hard for someone. But hopefully, if he can get rid of the injuries and get more playing time, he's got loads of skills. But we'll see. Hopefully, it will go well. But it could be one of them, that don't reach the level we all hope for because of the injuries and not playing regularly. So, yeah. But good to have him back, to have options. That's the thing. And he's got the skills for it. So, it's not a bad option if we need him.
Yeah. And I think he, like Klopp said with Darwin Núñez, he's only, Darwin Núñez 23, is he? Something like that. Curtis Jones is only 21. I think there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. Obviously now been out the limelight for quite a while because he's been injured with I think it was like a stress fracture or I don't know, something stress related in the legs, something in the bone in the leg, which is something you can't really put like a time frame on to come back from. So it's a bit of a weird one. It might just be that he's growing and stuff. I don't know. Hopefully it's something simple like that.
I don't know if that's something that it could be something like a serious damage in a long term, or if it's just you have to just see it out and then, like you said, grow in and muscles and bones or whatever, and then when that's done, then he can actually leave that behind him. I don't know. I just remember when you were young yourself and played, you had that kind of long term ache that was in part of your legs or calves or whatever, but it's probably was down to you were growing, like your body was growing, so you can't really do it. And if they train that much and put a lot of pressure on it, obviously the stress symptoms of it, then it's just I guess you just have to wait for it to ease a bit and then actually focus on getting him fresh as soon as possible.
Yeah, hopefully it's very soon. But score predictions, Kristian, I'll go for everyone else's first. So Aiden has gone for 2-1 to Liverpool. Núñez to score. Gary has gone for 5-0 Liverpool. Núñez hat-trick.
If that happens.
Right, there we go. There's we need to call this something like, I don't know. Scoreline, Jeopardy, Kristian. I'm trying to think of a good name. No, I'll think about it. So basically what's happened before, Kristian will go if we win 6-0, he'll shave his head on a show. So if that exact scoreline comes in, 5-0, Núñez hat-trick and 2 from Elliott, you'll shave your head. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, why not?
Sound. Let's fucking pray for that to happen then. Paul's gone for 3-0, and Aiden's gone for 3-1. And then the lads were just talking about there, like Aiden agreeing with Gary, saying Phillips is a great call, especially with the big players West Ham have. Yeah, I just sometimes worry about not playing for ages. And then he came in for the Palace game, wasn't it? And obviously their goal comes from that side. And I don't know if it's, I don't know. There might be a risky one that Klopp might not want to take, especially with Gomez and Van Dijk doing so well in the City game and Trent being back and stuff. So, but yeah, score predictions. What are you thinking, lad?
I'll just have a feeling about 3-0. You know, building on the Man City win, self-confidence. The defensive line looked really, really good against City, and obviously the whole team did. So, and you know, with even if Jota is out, we still got plenty of really good offensive options that can actually hurt West Ham. And we're playing at home. You know, 2 games in a row at home as well. They will have the crowd behind them after this City win. So I just think we can actually surf on this really good performance and go and actually hurt West Ham. So 3-0.
I'm gonna agree with Aidan. You know, I'm gonna go for 3-1. But Kuda goes with you and says 3-0 to the Reds. Salah, Brace, and Nunes. Yeah, I think Salah is hopefully gonna be kicked back into life. Obviously, scored against 3 against Rangers and then scored an amazing goal against City. So hopefully that's enough fuel to start the Mo Salah fire for the rest of the...
And it's getting closer to Robbie Fowler's record as well, as we mentioned. So
yeah, 7 goals. You need 7 to equal it or 8 to go above it. So if he gets another couple, he gets ever closer. And I think Empire of the Cop, shout out to Empire of the Cop, put like a tweet up about that and like tagged Fowler in it saying he's getting closer to you, and Fowler replied saying something like, "Oh yeah, I know it's going to happen at some point," or something like that. It was probably funnier than that. I just can't remember, but I remember him replying. Probably wasn't as boring as that.
You just made Fowler sound really bitter about it.
Oh, sorry, Robbie. I'm still trying to get Robbie on the show one day, so I hope I haven't just crushed that. Because I did actually meet him back when I worked in back in a pub I worked in years ago, and I was like, just watched. I think it was Liverpool Everton. I think it was the game we drew. I think it was 2-2. Suarez got one disallowed in injury time, and I was watching it in the pub, and then I went straight to work from there. And I walked onto the bar, and Robbie Fowler was just staring at me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like just proper.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's the right.
Literally, oh my good. Or as in Swedish, is that right? Good.
Good.
Oh, good. Oh,
yep.
So like Bruce Almighty, good.
Exactly. We just have to tell people that when we text each other sometimes, like you saw me retweeting in Swedish this morning, and I said good morning in Swedish, or in the tweet, and you
good Morgan, wasn't it? Morgan.
Exactly. So good is God, and you then asked, obviously, then how do you say God then in Swedish? So that's why we mentioned this. So it's good morgon and good. So yeah, there you go. Swedish lessons.
Yeah, and then I said something like I'd good Johnson or something like that, didn't I? Just trying to be funny because I'm a knobhead. But yeah, and back the Fowler story, just to embarrass myself even more. I plucked up the courage to go and ask him for like his autograph, and then he was like writing it out, and he was like, "Yeah, who's it to?" And I said me, when he obviously wanted to know my name to write to Mick, like from Robbie, and I said me. And I just went fucking bright red and just ran away, basically. Just an absolute dickhead, aren't I? But yeah, let's leave it there anyway. Done 40 minutes there. Loads of boss comments. Nice one, everyone, for jumping in. And if you're watching right now, do like and subscribe, because it does help. If you're watching later today or tomorrow before the game, then do the same. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast or whatever, then do leave us a rating on there, because I do want to get us up the Apple and Spotify charts, and I think that'll help us get there. But yeah, Did I give my score prediction? I did, didn't I? Yeah, 3-1. 3-1. You said 3-0. I said 3-1. But let's hope for 5-0 and Kristian will shave his head off.
Did we say just 5-0? Did we say actually who's going to score as well? I can't remember.
Yeah. So it's got to be a Nunes hat trick and Salah too, was it? Or Elliott too?
That probably it could be 5-0 to be honest, but I guess that's scorers actually might save me. So yeah.
Well,
we'll see.
Just pray. Let's pray.
I might just do it out of pure joy. I don't know. We'll see. I need a haircut anyway. So.
At least you've got hair. I'm losing all of mine, so yours will grow back. Don't worry. Mine won't. But yeah, we'll leave it there. Nice one, everyone. Like and subscribe, please. It would very much help us out. And yeah, up the Reds. Let's hope we can continue the great win against City and take it into this game. But yeah, nice one, everyone. And up the Reds.